Is going on, everyone? I wanted to do a little live stream today, just a short one, and talk a little bit about X-Wing Epic. There was some talk just recently about the new mini extravaganza and how Atomic Mass Games was not going to support X-Wing Epic, at least for the foreseeable future, and I think a lot of people were, like me, for example, were saying that's not cool. That's not cool. So it may be saved. There may. Well, no, 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 no. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. I'm trying to find a way to do this. There we go. All right, good. I'm trying to get my mount set up here. This is kind of like just an impromptu midday stream. So I found out some really cool news that the new X-Wing, yet another squad builder, the third iteration of it, is got some epic support for the huge ships. Now I know there's a lot of different squad builders out there, but YASP, or yet another squad builder, is the one that I use. Now that's YASB.app, Yankee Alpha Sierra Bravo dot Alpha Papa Papa, for you phonetic spellers out there. So let's yeah. So what's going on, everybody in chat? So it's talking about the X-Wing and the Epic. Now there's some pretty cool. It's a really cool thing, and this isn't just like a normal, it's kind of like a community initiative, but it's on what I consider to be the best squad builder out there for X-Wing, and so that kind of makes it as close to official as I think we're going to get right now. We'll talk about some of my thoughts about that, but so like right now, for example, if you go to yet another squad builder and wanted to build a squad for X-Wing, you'd have to choose between standard build or extended. For standard play, for example, like all the black box stuff is the only stuff that's legal. Anything from the conversion kits that hasn't been reprinted in 2.0 is not legal yet. So what they've done on yet another squad builder, or YASP, is they have added an epic section in there that now has points and loadout points and all of this stuff for all of the epic ships. So now you can play them. This is something that Atomic Mass Games wouldn't do. Now, this is unofficial. Big caveat here. It's not official. Granted, I don't know if it matters as much if it's official, since AMG doesn't have any support for it. There won't be any huge ship or epic events. So it's not like there's a tournament that you're going to be uninvited to or disallowed from, right? So that's that. That's just something I wanted to point out, is that it is unofficial, but the YASP guys have always had stuff updated like boom right away, which kind of leads me to believe that they're in good. Like, they were always really in good with Fantasy Flight and stuff, and we kind of, it's not really much of a speculation, because there were some times where upgrades and points and things went live on yet another squad builder before they were even spoiled publicly yet. So they were getting, I think that Fantasy Flight, for example, certainly recognized, hey, these guys are creating this amazing app, so we don't have to. If we go back a ways, we'll know that you might remember that Fantasy Flight with 2.0 tried to create their own app, for squad building, and that turned out to be a huge problem. And they finally said, you know what, no, let's leverage the community that's already doing this. And even when Fantasy Flight had their own app, nobody wanted to use it because the community of apps were better. And here's another example of why they're better. So, but I'm pretty sure that I have faith in YASP, because they've always kind of had that insight into what was going to happen before it happened. So, and they've always exercised pretty good discretion. There was, one or two little oopsies where something kind of went live before it was supposed to, but for the most part, they've been amazing. And so that's one of the reasons why I always use them. So they've published, they have an epic section now. So if you go to yasp.app and you select epic, you're going to be able to see, and you can do this while you're watching if you want to open up a new tab and do it. I can't share screen right now because I'm not at the house in the studio with all the the Star Destroyer bridge, right? But you can select like the Rebels and make sure you're in Epic, and then you should be able to choose like a CR90 or a GR75. Now, the points are pretty interesting. So you can, if you do the CR90, and it's going to be 14 points for your squad points, and then 40 loadout points. So you got a lot on the CR90. The GR75 is only 10 points. We only have 25 loadout points on the GR75s. Gazantes are 11 points with 40 loadout points. You have a lot more loadout points on the Gazanti than you do on the GR75. The GR75 is a 1 point cheaper. Now, that might mean, hey, I can run 2 GR75s in a list, but I'm pretty sure right now you have to have 3 ships for standard play at least. So I guess if you're playing Epic, you could always just say, no, I'm going to run 2 GR75s. You'd have no guns, though, at that point, so that might be problematic. Might be a little weird. You'd be trying to just ram everybody, right? And of course, you're going to have to use the 2.0 rules for huge ships and in the huge ship conversion kit. So you're going to have to go with those rules as best you can. So and there's a big disclaimer too. If you go to YASP, they're going to say, you know, like, this is unofficial, so don't expect it to be balanced. I'm sure it's going to be somewhat balanced, because I'm sure they had to put some thought into it. I'm certain of that. But and well, you can tell there's thought put into it. But also, like don't expect frequent updates or it to be balanced, and please don't make a big deal out of it. Am I making a big deal? I'm just being thankful that there's something out there. So I'm not like making a big deal. Like, I think what they mean is, like, don't have your pitchforks and like, hey, this isn't, you know, I need more loadout points on a GR75 or something like that. Dylan says it might be fun just to ram everything into one scenario to play. Absolutely. So I had a good friend who was the manager at the first gaming store. For those of you in Orlando or have been to Orlando, you may remember there was a place called Sci-Fi City many years ago called NCC 1701 Comics. But that was where I started playing X-Wing. It was my first X-Wing game. And my buddy Troy kind of sat me down and played my first game of X-Wing with him and 2 others, with Marcus and Rich and Troy. It was the first game I ever played. It was a 4-player game. But Troy always made it a habit every year of getting us all together to play, like, the whole gang. And there was, you know, like 12 plus people, sometimes 20-ish, to play like one epic, huge scenario for X-Wing. And then, like, before huge ships even came out, we did one where it was just, you know, like the attack of the interior run of the Death Star 2 attack, where we had Falcons and B-Wings and A-Wings and all that kind of stuff, and TIE interceptors and all of that Return of the Jedi stuff. And then once the huge ships started coming out, like when the GR75s first came out, it was the evacuation of Hoth, and we had like 7 GR75s on the table. I've got battle reports from most of these too. So they're old battle reports, but they're really, if you want to like really kind of doom scroll my old stuff, you see a lot of X-Wing epic stuff. But yeah, so Troy would always put those together, man, and we lost him recently, and so that stinks. Rest in peace, Troy. But it was a bummer for the whole community here in Orlando. But yeah, he put so much together, and then he got a Nebulon at Sci-Fi City, and then so we did a lot of stuff with the huge ships and his Nebulon. He made kind of rules for the Nebulon. He'd write these custom scenarios. He did like a Hunger Games thing where we'd start off with ships with no upgrades, and we'd fly over things, and they might be an upgrade or it might be a bomb and stuff like that. So anyway, if you're just joining us, YASP, yet another squad builder, really good app for list building for X-Wing, does have epic points. AMG has said they weren't going to do epic points. You basically can go to yet another squad builder, yasp.app, yasb.app in your browser. Then from there, you'll be able to choose what kind of build you're going to make. Are you going to do a standard list, extended? They have epic in there. So if you choose epic, you'll now be able to choose the huge ships. You can get the point values adjusted to new points, as well as loadout values. Now, this is not unofficial. CR90s are 14 and 40. GR75s are 10 and 25. Raiders are the most expensive at 15 and 50. So you have 15 points for a Raider, then 50 points. Now, and the thing is, with 2.0, you were allowed to use these in standard play, or as long as it wasn't official, like not like a tournament. So you could fit these into a standard 200-point game under 2.0, which equates to a 20-point game in 2.5. So you go ahead and do your 3x3, do a small epic game if you want. I think it's cool. The tridents are 12 and 45, so kind of cheap. Lot of points. A lot of points for the tridents. A lot of loadout points. The Sea Rocks are 10 and 30. So that means I guess the GR75 is the cheapest that has the lowest point cost combined with the lowest loadout. Dylan says, one thing I wish they would add would be to X-Wing be large obstacles. Oh, I could see that, like a Star Destroyer. Okay. I mean, yeah, the FFG used to have a Death Star table that was really cool. I don't know if you guys have ever done any of the old demos. Back when I was in when FFG had these games, and I was in their favor. We had a really good thing. I used to be able to go teach these games at conventions and stuff, and Armada and X-Wing and Legion and all of these. But those were good times. I remember demoing X-Wing at Star Wars Celebration here in Orlando, and they had the Death Star table out there, and it was so cool. It had magnetized turbo laser turrets that the tops would spin around too. It was super fun. Just thematic play was just I remember getting like everybody that would come up. We'd have like 8 ships on this board. It was slightly bigger than a 3x3, and then we'd give everybody I'd assign everybody a ship. Like a demo. I'd have 9 people around the square. I'd be the 9th. I would only play one if somebody had to leave or whatever. I would take over, and we'd just have them all just play just this huge death match. It was great. We'd kind of do it team based, like a TIE fighter, a TIE interceptor, a TIE bomber, and a TIE advanced, and then an X-Wing, A-Wing, Y-Wing, and B-Wing. Just super really great way to teach X-Wing. But they did that. It wasn't super flat though, because again, it was a Death Star table. It was like actually sculpted and molded, and so it was really, really cool. So that's just some stuff to think about. It's had a really fun time. But yeah, so the epic points are there now. I think there's a reasoning for all of this. I think there's a reason that AMG has said no to epic right now, which is a change from epic is coming to we're not really concerned about epic right now. I've heard it might be maybe they'll take another look at it next year or something like that. My thought is it's a complicated situation. Licensing is probably a factor for them to kind of release anything. It might involve licensing. Another thing is if they just gave us points from AMG, Epic Play typically is on 2 3x3 mats, so it's typically on a 6x3. You can do it on the 3x3 right now, but it's like it was designed with like that Epic Play in mind, that 6x3 in mind. So you have room to maneuver your huge ships, and plus, let's run multiple ships. Nobody wants to have like this giant CR90 and like, oh, all I can have is 2 A-Wings with it now, or something like that, or 2 Z95. Like have a list, have a fleet, and so that's kind of the spirit of Epic Play. And I think to do all of that, they'd also have to do. There's other work they would have to do, or at least I think they would tell themselves that they had to do. For example, AMG doesn't really just want deathmatch games like X-Wing used to be. So, which is another reason I thought it was funny when the whole like we're taking it back to its roots. And I'm like, I don't think you are, but no, I feel like if they were going to release some kind of an update to Epic Play, they'd probably also want to include scenarios, is my guess. And then there's also the gaping hole that is the Republic doesn't have 2 ships. The Resistance doesn't have 2 ships. I think there's a missing, like there's a slot for a missing huge ship, and it really should be like probably should be like a Charger C-70. A consular cruiser would work really, really, really well for the Republic. Resistance, I don't know. Maybe they could just have an old Charger C-70 in the Resistance. I don't know. Epic should be 2x2 first time team match. Yeah, that can work. That'd be fun. I'd say give it more than just 4. I'd say make it 50 points. You give each person 25. So they have a little more room to make that work. 50 points on a 6x3. Like, have some fun with it. Like, that's the way to go. I think that'd be a really fun way to play. But yeah, so anyway, in summary, I don't want to keep you guys too long. head over to yet another squad builder, YASB.app, and you can check this out for yourself. You can choose Epic from your building your squad, and then you'll have the new updated adjusted points and loadout values for each of these ships, and start building and getting some gaming in. I feel like AMG didn't want to just put out points. I think they wanted to put out a lot of stuff, and it would have probably been, one of those, is the juice worth the squeeze? Maybe they don't think a lot of people want to play Epic, and it would require, probably a licensing to approve the document changes to go onto the website, and so on and so forth. I just didn't think it was acceptable, and I still don't, that they're still selling huge ships that are completely unsupported according to AMG. And that's why I'm so grateful for somebody like YASP, to do that stuff. CR20 from the Tartakovsky. I'll have to look that one up. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm down with a lot of stuff. I think if you want to sell a big, expensive ship, though, it has to be recognizable. That's kind of one of the reasons I think the Consular would fit the bill there. I'd love to see slightly bigger ships like the Nebulon and the Arcutans show up at some point too. But I feel like for AMG to make all new ships, not stuff that like Fantasy Flight already did in their reprinting, or not stuff like Fantasy Flight already had in production that AMG just takes across the finish line, like the stuff that we saw for X-Wing. I think for AMG to create all new ships, I think that it's going to have to be ships on a sprue, and I know people don't like that. I think it would make a lot of sense to do like an Arcutans or like a really large ships to take Epic into a really, really fun place. And oh my gosh, I would love that so much, to have an Arcutans in X-Wing. Dude, I mean, maybe it doesn't even have to move. Maybe you don't have to worry about movement for ships that are that big. Maybe a Nebulon is just the centerpiece and it's firing its guns and you're flying around it. Like, I'm fine with that, having them not move at all. And if you're doing like ultra epic versus ultra epic, so like an Arcutans versus a Nebulon or something like that, you just say, all right, set them up at range 3 of each other. Like, set them up to where, like maybe there's a specific setup, like it has to be here and it has to be there, so this way the rear can still hit the front of the other one, and so on and so forth. I don't know. I think it's super cool, though. I'd love to see more of it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Head over to YASP, YASP.app, and check them out. And hop in our Discord and all this other stuff if you want to talk more about X-Wing Epic. I'll talk to you guys later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. And